Welcome to our second Epic Wisdom Leadership Conversation.
Woohoo!
And I have the privilege today of talking with Rebecca Skeele, who is a visionary and a world server and much more, which you'll find out in a moment as I begin to share with you the cliff notes of her bio. Because if I read the whole thing, we'd be here all day.
Well, I don't
And
know
that's the
about
good news.
that.
Well, most of the day. So let me just say at the very beginning, because we call these epic wisdom leadership conversations, that I know a lot of people say, well, what about this epic piece, Sylvia? So the short definition is that epic is it's not about becoming, it's actually about remembering. Because if we remember who we are, then we can automatically step into our unique magnificence. So, Rebecca, I'm going to talk about your unique magnificence for a moment. Let me just hit some of the high points for you. Rebecca has two master's degrees, one in spiritual counseling and another in theology in spiritual science. She also has a doctorate in spiritual science. And even though this is really stunning, Rebecca's also written two books, which I'm just in awe of, truthfully, Rebecca. Her first one was You Can Make It Heaven, How to Live Your Life with Abundance and Loving. And then the second one is called Manifesting Your Sacred Ambition. So in addition to that, Rebecca is also an ordained minister and a licensed counselor. She's facilitated seminars in practical spirituality within the US and Europe, and is known as an expert in teaching the inner spiritual tools to initiate a major life shift in consciousness. Hello, hello, hello. So her clients will tell you that she is brilliant, she is powerful, she is loving, and she is unshakable in her commitment to mirror the truth so they and others can set themselves free of self-imposed limitations. And I'm just going to co-sign on all of that because I've known Rebecca for a while.
Yeah, we have been. We've been
Yes,
around the block several times.
that's right. That's right. Um, and of course, her passion is really demonstrating the power that each person can access their own divine reality and co-create their personal heaven on earth. I don't know about you, but I don't really know anybody else who does that. So you can see that Rebecca's way beyond pretty special. So we have the wonderful pleasure of listening today to Rebecca's deeper story. And I'm even curious, what really sort of deeper story or why, Rebecca, has that you're going to reveal to us anyway, um, has prompted you to share your unique magnificence with the world?
Hmm. Well, first I'm going to cry
Uh,
because
sweet.
I always tear up when my heart is touched. So, and I may do that again. So, out in Audienceville, you'll just have to get used to that.
It's quite all
Um,
right. We love that, Rebecca, about you.
okay. So what I want to do is I want to kind of do the cliff notes of the major shifts that have happened in my life, and which is why I do this work and has brought me actually to today. I grew up in a city in the South, and I followed or was conditioned by that and what women's role was and what you were going to do when you grow up. And I did go to college. I want to say that. However, my big goal was to get married and have kids. And I did that. And so by 30, I pretty much had everything that I thought was going to make me happy and following what I thought was going to be my role in the world. I was a mother I was in a happy marriage. I also lived a very wealthy lifestyle at that time because my husband made a lot of money, and I was 30, and I was going, well, I'm living the American dream here. I call it my dynasty days, actually, because I had a lot of money. I'm not just talking
Oh,
about, whatever. It's just we had a private jet.
ah,
Yeah, we had it. The problem was, if it not really a problem, but at the time I thought it was a problem, is that I was not really happy. Now I was happy on the surface, and I enjoyed all the bells and whistles that comes from that kind of lifestyle. But inside I knew that, whoa, this is not it. This is not it. Well, what is it? And I thought there was something wrong with me. And so I became very restless, and I had a group of really dear women friends at the time. Anytime I try to talk about this with them, they just sort of pat me on the hand and just go, "It's all right. Here, have another glass of wine." I mean, and they could not relate. I understand. I could not relate. What is going on here? But then the universe stepped in because my blueprint, my divine blueprint, which I talk a lot about, was not to be, a Southern woman, wife, mother in the South. That was not what I came here to do. So the universe stepped in, and my lifestyle went into shambles because my husband's business went into bankruptcy. We moved from the southern town to where I live now. I went from sea level to 7,000 feet. I live in the mountains of New Mexico, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. My lifestyle changed, so I had to get a job and go back to work, which I hadn't been in the workforce in many years. And 18 months later, I got a divorce.
wow.
Now, I call these the two by fours of life.
Mm.
And I really call them the great awakeners because I was not awake. And these came forward and started waking me up to, whoa, what is going on here? Everything that I thought was going to be my reality is not my reality anymore. And so, what is going on? Now, I look back on those times now and smile because I know that it was exactly in line with where I am today. However, at the time, it was not pleasant to walk through all that. And so it was definitely a dark night of the soul. It was definitely all the things that one can imagine with so much change, so much shifting. And so it put me on a different path. It woke me up. I started searching for some kind of spiritual compass, if you will, even though I'd been raised in a religion. I was not looking for religion. I was looking for something inside that could really be a compass for me. And I found a spiritual path that really resonated with me. And so that began to kind of steady me a bit. Okay, I found this. So what else? And then about that time, and this will be the kind of last part of this story, is I decided to enroll in a 6-day training called Awakening the Heart. And on about day 5 of this 6-day training, there was a process where you sat across from a person and you asked them, "What do you want?" And that's all you said to them. "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" Well, this was in a room of about 250 people. So you can imagine the energy started getting really, really
Mm.
intense and
Whoa.
really, really loud as people got in touch with what they wanted beyond, the material plane, if you will.
Wow.
And at one point at the end of that process, and I don't know how long it went on, but I was standing on the chair screaming, "I want to love."
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Not "I want to be loved." I want to
No,
love.
you're going to make me tear up. Wow.
So from that moment, I mean, there was, you could have, I felt like someone plugged me into a socket. I knew that something had just broken open inside of me, and I went, whoa, what was that? And now I know that that was the message, the deeper message of my soul, the deeper message of my true heart, my true self. But at the time, it was really mind-boggling, reality shifted, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And that set me, of course, I didn't know what to do with that, but I said, well, okay, if I want to love, what does that mean? You know,
Hmm.
what does that really mean? And what, what does that mean? And of course, what I found out is that my loving is expressed through my teaching, through my facilitation, through my writing, and through working with others. It is my loving. And I also found out that that is who I am, that at the core of who I am is loving. And this was all a process that unfolded over many years and discoveries, and again, a deeper spiritual work that I began to do, and then started to work with people, and found out I was really good at it, and that surprised me. So, everything was kind of a surprise back then. It was like, well, look at there, kind of thing. It's like the revelation kept unfolding a new thing, and then another thing, and then another thing. So
Oh,
the heaven part, and I said I was going to stop at the other story. Well, I'll tell one more.
but
Um,
this is fascinating. It's fascinating. I
okay,
mean,
well,
really, because you're saying that your deeper story is love, but it's not the traditional
no,
staid, limited human
no,
saga around love.
no.
It's love. It's like what the universe
Right.
generates.
It's who we are. I mean,
Yes.
that comes from my knowing and my wisdom, but I'll just say it. It is who each of us are. And so, um, about 10 years into working with people, I decided that, I keep repeating myself, why don't I write a book? That's when I started writing You Can Make It Heaven. And of course, at the time, it was really, I wanted to name the book You Can Make It Hell or You Can Make It Heaven, but my editor dissuaded me away from that title. I kind of look back on that and I go, I should have just stuck with my guns and, done it that way. Because that's what I discovered about myself and also about others is that we make our life either a heaven or a hell. And it has very little to do with our circumstances. And because I already knew that I had had what people think of as heaven.
Mhm.
I had all the money. I had all the trappings. I had the family. I had the relationship. I had the status in the city. I had it all. And it was not heaven for me.
Mhm.
So it had to do with an inner job,
Mhm.
an inner path, an inner journey, if you will. And so I wrote the book. And then after I wrote the book, I went, people would buy the book. It did pretty well. And people would buy the book, and I think, well, did you read it? I mean, are you applying anything in the book? Because it really is a self-mastery manual. And I thought, I need to teach this stuff. So I started my wisdom school. And again, I just started it as a beta. I called 10 people that I knew and I said, would you come do this wisdom school for me and let me know if you like it, if it's valuable for you? And all I needed from them was their feedback.
Okay.
And I was talking about heaven about the third month because it was a 6 month course. And I started explaining what I meant by heaven on earth. And I had another one of those experiences like I did when, in what do you want? That
Uh-huh.
a lightning bolt went through me and I started shaking. tears ran down my face. I could not speak. Everybody in the class was going, are you okay? And I, I took some nice deep breaths and I sat down and I said, let me just collect myself here. Again, I was speaking from a very deep place inside of me of what heaven was for me.
Wow.
And again, it came from my soul and it came from the essence of who I am. And I realized in that moment that my calling was heaven on earth. Now, I had
Wow.
just written a book about it, but it took that experience for me to realize that that was my calling.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that it happens that way, you
Mhm.
know. We have to, it's like you had to go through the experience and then somehow integrate that
Mhm.
to arrive at a place that just literally propelled you into the fullness of what it really was.
Yeah, and again, I was at that place where it's like, okay, well, what does this mean? Like
Yeah.
10 years before when I'd had that other experience, it's like, well, what does this mean?
Hmm.
And I write in my book, my second book, Sacred Ambition, that when we unearth our calling, or when the universe comes and just, gives us that experience that blows us open, we want to hide and we want to play small.
Hmm.
And that's what I did for several years after that. I sort of kept it under wraps and I really didn't want to own it and I didn't know what it meant. And every once in a while, I kind of let it peek out, in one of my classes that I was teaching or one of the courses I was teaching. But nope, nope, I'm not ready yet. So back it went. And I find that this is very typical for those of us who know our calling. And calling to me is different than purpose.
Hmm.
Purpose is
Hmm.
great. Purpose is great, but callings bring blessings.
Yeah.
They bring blessings for ourselves and they bring blessings for others. And when I realized that heaven on earth was my calling, I realized that it was a blessing, that I was to, that was my vehicle for my loving. I want to love.
Wow.
So here we go. Heaven on earth.
Wow. Yeah. Well, kudos to you for just, I mean, being so courageous, really, because the truth of the matter is, you're right. When something is that huge, it is freaking terrifying.
Hmm.
And yet you took whatever time you needed to marshal your courage and step into it.
Yeah, and it was about 5 years.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it
Yeah.
has to be that long for anybody else, but for me, it was about 5 years before I really said, girlfriend, it is time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's happening at a level that's outside of time, even
Hmm.
though we're chronicling it according to what we think is time, right?
Sure.
So
Yes.
yeah, so five is could be the short journey, without you
Exactly.
realizing it.
Exactly. Exactly. No,
Yeah.
it was really about me sinking deeper and deeper into my spiritual practice and letting it reveal itself to me. It's a revelation. It was a revelation that kept being revealed and keep
Wow.
being revealed and kept being revealed to where I finally thought, okay, all right, I'm seeing this a little bit more clearly. I'm experiencing it more clearly. I'm embodying it more clearly. So I think now I can start to, step out with it.
Ah. Well, what ended up being some sort of specific ways that you actually did step into it? I mean, what did you engage in? How did it evolve?
Well, it led me into my spiritual gifts, actually.
Okay.
I knew I knew that I had a gift in working with others. I knew that. But it also started to open me up energetically. And I found that I wanted to work in the subtle fields around our
Mhm.
body, that the body's beyond the physical body. And there are
Okay.
several of them. And so I took trainings in energy balancings so that I
Mhm.
could balance the aura and also other energies. And when I'd work with people, I would, be able to sense what's in their field and help the clearing that way.
Mm.
Way beyond, the mental or the talk therapy. I was into the energetic clearing. So
Okay.
I that was another gift that started to come forward. And then the dream work. That was another big
Oh.
piece. Is that, I've had wonderful mentors over the years that brought me different pieces of what I
Mm.
was to do. And
Yeah.
and then one that I like to talk about that is a lot of people like to hear about because it's sometimes the most fun is that a client walked into my office one day. It was a man and he had a book. And the book was about the crop circles. And he said, "Do you know about these?" And I went, "Yeah, I do know about crop circles." He said, "Well, let's go to England and walk in crop circles." I looked at him like he had three heads. I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, here, take the book, look through it, and think about this. Let's go take a group to England and walk in crop circles." I went, "Oh, well, give me the book," which he did. And I sat with this for a couple of weeks. And then I thought, So I called up about three or four really good friends and I said, "Would you like to go to England and walk in crop circles?" And all of them said yes. And I went, "Okay, well, this is opening up." Long story short, we went to England in the Salisbury Plain and walked in crop circles. And that, and then I decided to teach a workshop called Co-Creating a New Reality. And that's exactly what happened. I came back from that trip after walking in crop circles and co-creating and co-creating and teaching that workshop completely changed. And I said, "Okay, heaven, here we come." I mean,
Did you know this man, Rebecca?
yes, I did know him, and
Oh,
my
okay.
husband went too. So it was one like I was
Oh,
just
okay.
going with him. Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
no. Sorry if that sounded like that.
Just
No,
well, no, I just wondered, at this point,
yeah,
and
no. He
given
was
your
a
experiences, he might have been a walk-in or something. Who
yeah,
knows?
right. Well, who knows? But anyway, no, he was a longtime client, so I trusted
Okay.
him, and he just seemed to know that we need to go walk in crop circles, and
Ah,
it was part of this, like I'm, sharing what I have been following for many 35 years is
wow.
because we don't tell callings where we're going, we follow them. And
Mm.
that's how that opened up. So that
Wow.
was,
So your deeper why has just been literally emerging in front of you and
mhm,
saying, this
mhm,
way, turn here,
mhm,
pause here.
mhm.
That's stunning.
Well, and everything I've participated in or opened up to, I've brought to my clients. So
Yeah.
therefore, my work started changing with people, and the people that started coming to me started changing. Because I wasn't doing therapy anymore. I was doing
Right.
soul work. I was doing
Yeah.
opening up them to who they truly are, and that was my loving. That was my joy. That was my
Mhm.
heaven, was to
Mm.
introduce them and have them discover their own heaven. And however it looked, whatever words they wanted to put on it, they didn't necessarily have to be spiritual. I worked with people from all different faiths and a lot of people who didn't want anything to do with that. Uh, but
Right. Right.
but yet they started opening up to who they truly were. And, it's like, well, what word are you going to call it? It's like,
Whoa.
doesn't matter to me what you want to call it, but, and it's not regular reality. It's not 3D dimensional reality here.
Yes.
And so I, really worked in all the other dimensions. Well, the ones that I've worked in. I mean, I can't say all of them, but uh,
A lot of them.
a lot of them. And that's what kept pulling me. That's what kept leading me was
Yeah.
into the other realities of who we
Right.
truly are. And it's it's really, you talk about magnificent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is you. This, I mean, your epic journey is extraordinary. I mean, extraordinary doesn't even capture it. It's phenomenal, but beyond phenomenal, really. So, well,
Well, it has
now
been
I've
for
got,
me. I'm
well,
sorry.
and it is for me just in the hearing of it because I haven't heard the full piece of it. This is the first time I've heard the whole deeper story.
Yeah.
So it's stunning, stunningly magnificent. Well, now you have me curious because I know that where you are now is you're working on metamorphosis. So
Yes.
tell us about that because
Yes.
clearly all of this has led you there.
Yeah, so I taught my wisdom school for years, and then I started teaching from my books. I mean, I used the books as the manuals, and I started teaching about callings and sacred ambitions, and I ran events from the stage and did the masterminds and did the mentorships um, and it was great and it was wonderful. And however, things continued to evolve, and I'm much more interested now in what I call my oracle self. Now this is something that's kind of new, so I'm kind of shy about it.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like with this metamorphosis, and I'll talk about that, and also I'll share my screen in a moment, that it really is tapping into another spiritual gift that I have. And this has been coming on for some time. And so I have decided that I'm going to start leaning in to it and claiming it a bit because
Mhm.
the oracle, the metamorphosis is the way that I'm talking about what's going on right now on this planet.
Mm.
And this is from, I'm not an astrologer, but I listen to astrology. I listen to people who channel different entities. I listen to, they're plugged into
Mhm.
those levels, and I listen. And the word that kept coming up for me was metamorphosis because they
Mhm.
keep talking about we are going to go through an incredible and are going through an incredible change. It's not just, a change or a transformation. It is truly a change of form. And we will not recognize ourselves a year from now. And I listen to that and I listen to, the earth is going through it. We are going through it, meaning humans.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
everybody's going through it. And I decided, well, I think I want to do this. I think I want to bring this forward with the people I work with and start sharing the downloads that I'm receiving about this. So I want to say that up until now, all the retreats I've run, the workshops, and all of that have been about things that I've gone through. Like, I went through the self mastery and
Oh,
you can
right.
make it
Yes,
happen.
yes, yes.
And I went through finding out about my calling and how to live it and how to express it. But have not gone through this. I'm walking with everybody else.
Mhm.
And so it's a very different kind of sharing and teaching and facilitating and opening that I'm doing in this. It's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and wait until the next download comes along. Because I'm not going to say that I know what's going on here. I'm going to wait until I get enough, whatever you want to call it, and that I can go, okay, here's our next step. Here's a next step.
Yeah.
Here's a next step.
Yeah. This
So,
sensing, you're in this really high level of sensing
yes,
what's coming.
yes. So the reason I'm embracing Oracle is not because I'm want to be a soothsayer or predict the future or whatever like
Hmm.
that. I'm calling myself a revelation oracle because I really do translate what I receive mystically into
Hmm.
language that
Okay.
people can start to wrap their heads around and feel safe because this is about so much uncertainty and so much shifting of realities
Hmm.
that one of my gifts is to be able to create a safe container, and I call it held holiness. It's like we want to
Um,
hold ourselves in
yeah.
holiness so that we can, be in this boat that's carrying us into the mystic. And um, because I am in touch with energies and patterns, and I've been tracking that for years, it's like I'm also saying, okay, these realities that are emerging and coming forward, it's rather than freak out or go or stick our head in the sand and whatever, it's like it's going to be okay. This is what's going to start coming forward. And I know we all know that life is not what we thought it was. It is really going through huge changes. I mean, even if you're not into metamorphosis, you don't want to be into metamorphosis. It's like, people sit around and they go, what is going on? This is really different. We know this. We know this deep within ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want people to find themselves in this uncertainty and in a place of safety and in a place of held holiness so that we can, those that want to, can walk together and know that you've got support. And, what's in charge here? Well, I believe the greater reality is in charge. The universe is in charge. The Father, Mother, God is in charge. I mean, you can name it. The loving is in charge. Whatever you want to call it does not matter to me. But it's like we if we go together, which is the co-creation, which is the Aquarius model. It's like we go together hand in hand, and we walk through this together. And the beauty of doing it in a group is there's reflection. Like you will have a piece that I won't have, and then they'll have a piece that, and it's like this prism that starts to, this fractal, more like a
Yeah.
fractal, that starts
Yeah.
to open up. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was a piece of it. Everybody's
Yeah.
got a piece. It's not
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah.
So that part really excites me.
Well, I have to tell you that what I hear just reverberating from what you said is this being in held holiness. I mean, that is so precious and such a reflection of you loving, you know, and what I know you have often called your radical loving, this held holiness, which is also showing the rest of us how can we love radically,
Mm,
starting with ourselves
hmm
and expanding that out.
hmm
I mean, it's just, I mean, I can just feel it,
mm.
in my body.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. It's a
Well,
gift. It's a serious gift.
I'm glad you said that because it's really about embodied holiness. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
We can't think ourselves through this. We can't
Right.
rush it. We must really keep, one step at a time here. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what I say often to the group that's working with me right now, and whoever wants to join us. It's like, no, we're not rushing anything. This is not about an urgency. This is about really breathing through this and embodying this process because this uh, energetic form called, the human body is going to go through a huge up level. It's
Mm-hmm.
all positive. It's just, we just may not be comfortable in all of it?
Yeah. Well, quiet as it's kept, people don't realize it, but actually, that's part of what happened during the pandemic, even though some people didn't survive it.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I can appreciate what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
and perhaps that was a kind of a preview.
I think it was, quite frankly. I
Mhm.
really do think it was. I think it was because it stilled us as a society and a culture. It stilled us, and
Mhm.
nothing else would have stilled us in that way.
Yeah.
Truthfully, looking back on it, yeah. So,
Yeah, it was for as awful as it was
right,
on
exactly.
one level.
Yes.
I think it was kind of a preview of what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
One of the women who's in the group that I teach. She's so cute. She keeps saying, okay, Rebecca, I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm not sure I understand, but I'm going to stay in the boat. I said, good. Stay in the boat. We'll row. You just stay in the boat.
That's
Don't
perfect.
jump out of the boat.
Exactly. Keep your hands and feet inside of the boat.
Inside of the boat. And
I
just
love
we'll
it.
row it.
That's right. Let it carry you. Wow. Well, what do you want to tell us about how people can kind of connect with this magnificence, this
Yeah.
this metamorphosis?
Yeah. Let me share
You
my
can see I'm
screen here.
already renaming it.
Well, you're good at that. So that's great. Okay. Here's my sharing. Um, this is the first three thresholds of metamorphosis that I have received so far. Not that this is it or the end of it, but this is the three that I'm currently bringing forward and bringing forward and teaching and facilitating, and that where I believe we are. Um, the first one, the choice and initiation, was really, I've already taught that one, but it's still ongoing because it really is about the choice to step into this. And I call metamorphosis the living field of metamorphosis. So it is a place, if you will, or an energy or a place, and you can
Mhm.
imagine it however you want to imagine it. And there's also a self initiation that we do to step through the threshold. If you think about standing at the threshold and you say to yourself, okay, am I going to step through this? And if so, how do I want to initiate myself in this process? So that was the first piece that I brought forward a month ago. And everyone did it differently. And again, if you're listening to this podcast or what are we calling this thing? Whatever we're calling it.
This interview conversation,
There
yes.
you go. There you go.
That'll
And
be a video.
if you're saying, well, I didn't get to do that. Yeah, you can. You can imagine yourself standing at the threshold of metamorphosis, and how do you want to initiate yourself into it? The next threshold is what I'm calling the containment threshold, which is moving into mystery. If we think about the caterpillar to butterfly, which of course is the main symbol that we think of when we think of metamorphosis, there is that threshold where the caterpillar is in the chrysalis. It has spun the chrysalis, the cocoon, and there is containment there. This is the held holiness. This is a really important threshold because we want to secure ourselves as much as we can into that container to know that we are held and it is sacred space and that we are preparing ourselves for what is next. And that preparation, I don't think can be, moved through quickly. It's however long we need to do that is how long we need to do that. And so that's what's coming up in July is
Mhm.
this one's virtual. So I do it online, containment threshold, moving into mystery. And then the third threshold that is next is the goo, as we call it, where the caterpillar actually dissolves. I mean, it actually dissolves.
Mhm.
And the old cells and the new cells, they're called the imaginal cells of the butterfly to bee. There is a big, let's say, challenge going on between the old and the new.
Mhm.
That to me, that threshold, I'm doing it in person because it's a very delicate process. And it's very deep and it brings up lots of stuff. I don't know about you, but I don't particularly want to think about myself as dissolving. And I mean, that's a pretty, it's like, No, I don't know. I mean, the ego really steps in there and goes, excuse me, what are we doing here? You
Exactly.
know?
Wait a minute. I have form. I have form. Hey.
Yeah, I have form. Exactly. I can touch this. I don't want to
Right.
let that go. You know? So this is going to be a very delicate, precious, holy, sacred retreat that I'm going to be doing in August. And I call it dissolving in living love because I believe that is what it is. That we are dissolving into the greater experience, acknowledgement, and owning that we are living love. And so I can't tell you kind of from experience yet because it's we're not doing that until August. And yet I think the process is already going on. All of this is already going on for people.
Yeah.
Um, I hear, you know, I read things on, read things here and there, or, my clients say to me, I think I'm already in the goo. And I said, I don't, okay, let's be in the goo. And when I say goo, that's the dissolving part in case anybody
Absolutely.
didn't get that. So the retreat is going to have horses. We're going to use the horses as the ancestors. And because the
Mm.
horses are thousands of years old, and so they're going to bring forward the ancestors, which I know is one of your sweet spots, Sylvia. And then we're also going to work with other dimensions. There's a place here called Star Dreaming, which is
Mm.
temples and stone and dirt on the land, and yet they're dimensional. And we're going to use that for opening up to the other realities that are present. So, we're going to have different experiences in this. It's not going to be just or all about the processing of it, but we are going to do a lot of processing in this about what this is. So that's what's on the plate right now, and as I like to say, it blows my skirt up. That's a Rebeccaism. For me, it's very rich. It's very profound. It's very, I go very still inside and listen because I respect and have great respect for what we're all going to be going through on this planet. All
Yeah.
peoples, all cultures. And yet I know we can look out in the world and go, I don't see it. There's this going on and that going on, and, things that are maybe the antithesis of this. And yet
Mm.
I want to say, yeah, but the greater, what are we calling this? The deeper story? There is a
Yeah.
deeper story going on.
Hmm.
So anyway, if someone is listening to this and wants to inquire more about participating, the best way to get in touch with me is I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook. And you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook and direct message me, or you
Wow.
can send me an email. And my email is rskeele@gmail.com. And I'll spell it RSKEELE at gmail.com.
Excellent. And if they're looking for you on Facebook or LinkedIn, is it just Rebecca Skeele
Mhm.
or do you
Yeah,
use? Okay.
yeah, it's Rebecca Skeele.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you
Yeah.
have it.
Well, let me encourage everyone just to check it out because as you can tell from just this conversation, not only is this quote unquote deep work, but it's support for the deep external trauma
Hmm.
that we're experiencing
Hmm.
so that internally we can be held together
Hmm.
and join with each other.
Yes.
That's, I mean, yeah. I mean, that clearly is beyond what I think most people are even anticipating they need,
Hmm.
but
Well
we need
said.
it.
Well said.
We
Very
need
well
it.
said. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to become more and more, if it isn't already evident, it's going to become more and more evident in the months
Yes.
to come. This,
Yes.
this is, uh, let's say the old order. I'll just call it that.
Thank you.
The
Yeah.
old order is not going to go down easily.
No. No. And the sort of those of us who are literally leading from the future as it emerges, which is what Rebecca is doing when she says to you, I haven't been through this yet.
Hmm.
But what you can hear in her deeper story is she's a step or two ahead of the people who are following behind her.
Yeah, well, that's a bit what a leader is, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah.
And both of us, I mean, our first interview was with you,
Yeah.
and you're the same way.
Yeah.
It's like, and yet the way that I come at it is different than the way you come at it, but yet
Yeah.
it's about being the leader with the visionary, with that
Mm-hmm.
vision inside of ourselves that we're following something here. And to me, that's the greatest leaders is the ones that are already a step or two ahead, and yet at the same time, and can make and say, well, I don't know what's around the corner, but come
Yeah.
this way, and
Yeah.
we'll sit here on this bench together, and
Yeah.
we'll share our experiences, and we'll listen inside, and when we're ready, we'll get up and we'll go around the corner.
Yes. Then we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that whole orientation toward we will discover together.
Hmm.
And I think, and I know what you and I also share, which is so pivotal right now, is we're actually not here to tell people do this or do that, or this is what that means, but rather to say, look at this, have a look, and see what meaning there is in this for you.
Bingo. Absolutely. This is
So
not my wisdom. This is wanting to
precisely.
bring forward your wisdom.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's just what we need now because it's all about sovereignty and shared sovereignty.
Hmm.
That's really what this love really is to me.
Yes, that's
So,
beautifully said. And the other thing that I say is that I work with leaders, visionaries, and world servers because I am one.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you definitely are, and we are very blessed
You
to
know,
have you be that with us.
well,
Yeah.
I have good company.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Well, Rebecca, thank you for taking us into the depths of your deeper story, which I didn't even know some of these depths.
Yeah.
I did feel like tearing up at some point. It was just extraordinary.
I wasn't the only one that wanted to cry.
That's right, for once.
Really, really. Thank you, Sylvia, and thank you for staying with me during all this, and
Absolutely.
looking forward to what we do next.
Yes, and I just invite our audience to connect with Rebecca either through LinkedIn or Facebook or directly on her email because you're going to want to experience this with her guidance and her radical love.
Thank you, dear.
All right, my dear. Blessings.
Uh-huh. Blessings to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.